Shalom, shalom, shalom. This is Brother Mwah coming to you again, bringing this gospel as truth to edify the hopefully lack of Yahshua, Israel, so-called blacks, and Americans and Latinos. The 1 and 2/3 of our people of the judgment of the Lord, Yahweh Shemashah, has brought on great Babylon America, okay? And it's going to get far worse. And it's always a pleasure that Esau the Edomite, the so-called white man, pedophile, rapist, sodomite, thief, okay, steals identity, know that your kingdom or your queendom is coming to an end real soon. Before we get started, to give all glory on the two, Yahweh, Ba'ashim, Yahushai, Ba'ashim, Rakakadash. Double honors to teachers, all us and apostles, great millstone, likewise, brothers, put out this truth. Faithfully fearlessly feeding sheep and you brothers and sisters, tuning in, Shalom. Now, I was trying to do camp outside and too windy. Everything was blowing all over the place. I tried to do it in the vehicle, too hot. So I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to sit down and inside and do it. I hate doing camp indoors, but nonetheless, okay, camp is really an extension of lessons, so the message is still the same, okay, which is if you're a Hebrew Israelite whose seed line goes back to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, despite the fact you might wear a different skin color, okay, you need to repent, turn back to your Lord, Yahweh Shemel Shai, okay, and to the rest of you tribes, so that all of you are going into slavery, starting first with the so-called white man, okay? Now, you had this issue that's going on with these Moabites, aka Chinese, okay, or we control the entire Asian community, okay, in this mix that's going on with Jake's, you know, and this is over that, you know, acquittal of that, you know, YN that got shot in the back by that chink, okay, for, you know, 50 cents bottle of water, okay, and, you know, they call it self-defense. You know, we put out lessons about that. We said it over and over in this place, you know, America, if you're a so-called Negro, okay, so-called black man, you will never get a fair shake, okay? If you're a so-called Latino man or Hispanic man, okay, you're going to know that you're a Hebrew Israelite by the fact that you're mistreated. They're going to try to grab you up and call you illegal, okay? You're labeled, okay? And you have wicked eyes that's looking at you. But primarily, the hate is really focused on the so-called Negro, okay, meaning aka someone that looks like me, all right, and that's okay, okay, y'all can bring it, all right, but understand this, because a lot of you fucking gooks think that you're gonna friggin' doggone, and you chinks think that you're gonna have next rulership. I don't know if you've looked into the mirror lately, okay, and noticed that you look very close, okay, to people that they call Down syndrome, basically retarded, okay, and we can go into the scriptures and bring that up. Okay, the fact that basically they used to call y'all Mongols, okay? You don't have necks. In fact, let's go into the scriptures here and let's see exactly what the Lord thinks about all you nations out there, okay? Because y'all have followed the ways of the so-called white man to the point the way y'all believe that y'all somehow entitled, or that y'all are going to escape, you know, the wrath that this devil is going to bring upon the earth. All of you are still in the mix of this wrath. This is Isaiah 40 and 17. It reads, all nations before him are as nothing, and they are counted to him less than nothing and vanity, because all the rest of you nations were created, okay, basically because the Lord can't create you, but in reality you're going to be serving the children of Israel, okay, the people that you despise so much in this life, okay, your next rulership, the only thing you people are going to rule over is a broom, okay, a mop, machetes, and friggin' doggone working tools. You will have dominion over working tools, but you will not have dominion, okay, over the children of Israel or any other tribe. We are going to rule over you with a rod of iron, meaning what? You're not going to get away with any doggone thing. And it's not going to be like in Esau's world right now, where you could be a sissy. You could be, you know, you women could be able to order. You know, you men could be little soft little bitches. You know, there's no fairness in the justice system. You know, you have crackers and gooks that can get away with murdering a so-called black man. Okay, but a so-called black man that is in self-defense, okay, deleted a bully, steroid-free cracker, he gets 35 years. Okay? So there's no fair system. And this is why we tell you, JDM, this is not our place of rest. Okay? Don't look to build America or don't look to build this place. Let them do what the fuck they're going to doggone do. Okay? I'm speaking for myself. I can't speak for any other brothers in this like that. Okay? But I'm fed up. I am fed up. But you know the gleam of hope is and the faith that I have? It's the Lord Yahweh Shema Shai is going to deal with Esau in such a way that we can't even begin to comprehend. All we can do is read the scriptures. A horrific, Yahweh Shai is going to deal with Esau when he returns. And we already seen this judgment already started right now, okay, with these doggone low-level Edomites. They can't make ends meet. They don't have a pot to piss in. Okay, so you're a two-time loser. You're in your own society. The only thing you can do, the only solution you can do, proving that most of you got your doggone position and you're in your high state, not because you have any skill or talent. It's because the Lord bless you to go into those positions, and also put, okay, you wicked people in the seat of power. In fact, let's go into the book of Daniel, okay, and talk about that, okay, and we can see where Esau, you did not get into your position because you have some special skill or whatever the case is like that. In fact, when you look at America right now, okay, all of your technology, okay, which we actually are behind those things. Okay, when you look at all the creation and all of your inventions here in America, really Jake's did it, because during that 400 years, Jake was the one that was doing all the accounting, doing all of the paperwork. These doggone Edomites, they'll spend all their time friggin' doggone, messing around with animals and stuff and just doing a crock of bullshit. Okay? And this is the reason why they had that envy when Jake's had, so-called Black Wall Street and was doing very well in a lot of places. And they delete a lot of those accomplishment of Jake's. And there was no real accomplishment of Jake. Jake always had the skill, okay? We're kings exiled, okay, on this earth. We're kings taken out of our position of authority because of our wickedness against the Lord, Yahweh Shema Shai. And those curses, when you look at what we under, that we cannot help it. Even in this cursed state, we still manage to still excel. So what is your excuse? And for you Moabites, you only have China. China's a paper empire, okay? Very fragile. You only have basically, running water and stuff over there because the inventions that we did, which the so-called white man took, created his little corporations and stuff, and then for cheaper labor, okay, and that's all they view y'all as, cheaper labor, they brought it over there for y'all. So what are y'all talking about? You gooks have never fucking invented any doggone thing. What did y'all really invent in the modern world right now, so to speak? Why you walk around proud? Over here, all you have is what? Hair salons? Yeah, you have, but there's other businesses and stuff like that. But this is why I tell you, with you, Jason, why are y'all even engaging with people of such low degree? I mean, it's a hair salon. Weave. Why don't you women just wear your hair naturally? It's, y'all had hair in your head in the 70s, even in the 80s. Let's go take a look at the sitcoms and stuff. Black women had natural hair. And some way down the line, y'all get it in your head to keep adding that doggone garbage onto your doggone head until now it's pull all your hair out, okay, and just leave your scalp bald. So when that curse, the Lord said that you would have like bald head, okay, and smelly snatch, okay, is because you're doing the things to make that happen. Your hair you have hair, but your hair is bald because you allow those doggone weave or whatever those damn cursed artificial crap hair or fibers that those gooks give to y'all, sell to y'all. Okay, either way, your natural hair because you're insecure, so you fed into that. Y'all ain't engaging with the Moabites and the Ammonites who have, a subsidiary of, corporation over here, a subsidiary over here like Toyota or something big. Y'all getting bent out of shape over doggone someone that opens up a shitty little doggone rat roach infested doggone store in your doggone neighborhood. I now shop at those things, man. Okay? The stores that I shop at, Amalek owns them, Amazon, and etc. etc. Okay? Okay. So at the end of the day, like how Deuteronomy say, you go to the so-called white man for all wants and things. Like, yeah, man. All right? It's just the way it is. All right? But let's go take a look at this. That Esau did not get where he's at because he's some special person, like that. It's because he's in fact, when we go into actually Job 30, okay, when we go into the book of Job 30 and start in verse 5, it describes what they look like, okay, or how their behavior is, and it describes them as being viler, okay, than the earth. Okay, this is Job 30, start verse 5. It reads, "They were driven forth from among man. They cried out for them as a thief." And you think those terms that people use, stolen identity and stolen culture. Those ain't just sayings, man. Esau them were a thief. They were a thief for a long time. Okay, so you can see that they were driven out of society because they were what? They did not have social skills. Okay, and they consistently act like animals, which is what they do today. Okay, the so-called white people, they are like animals. They are socially inept. Everywhere they go, they destroy. Every culture they go into, they just ruin it with their ways. Okay? So, continuing on, it says, "To dwell in the cliffs of the valleys, in the caves of the earth, in the rocks, among the bushes they braid under the nestle, they were gathered together." So they didn't really have a language, unga bunga, all that stuff like that. So they're not when they talk about, it's so easy a caveman can do it, they're making fun of themselves. When they talk about cowabunga dude and all that stuff, that's their natural language. Okay? Caveman language, Neanderthal, grunting, unga. Okay? And when they get put back into slavery, in the future, eventually they are going to go back into that unga bunga, okay, stage. I always like to, and I had a poster. In fact, I should probably go get that poster and show you this poster that I created. Showing that the future is very bleak. In fact, I probably will do that. Just hold on. Okay, let me continue on with this. It says, "They were children of food, children of base men. They were viler than the earth." Okay, they were viler than the earth. Okay, so they've been described as that. So you are the nations that are forging your lifestyle after them. And in the meantime, it's weird. These other nations, they forge their lifestyle after Esau, wearing a suit, smoking cigarettes, all kinds of craziness. And they idolize them. They think that they're scientific genius. And it's already shown or proven. Elon Musk did not write a damn code for Tesla or SpaceX or anything else. Okay, they say his IQ is about 105 or some shit like that. They're bringing a lot of these East Indians or Indians over here, and then a lot of these, Moabites and Ammonites over here to do those type of technical work, because over here, science or STEM is not huge. Okay, most people over here just speak of their ass. I think I this and that. So this is the reason why when you look at your tech companies, okay, your tech companies over here, all of these are coming from overseas. They're coming from overseas. All right? Your conglomerate tech companies are owned by Amalek, but they sit at the head of it. Okay, because of course they have the resources, so they can get the best of the best to come and go to write the code for AI and all those things like that. And then they get rid of them, and then you have this guy, Elon, okay, and the Bill Gates and them. Their facial representation, okay, of this invention. And they've done a good job of fooling the entire world, okay, with that. Okay? But we right now, as awakened, we understand that the Lord, Yahweh Shema Shai, is the one that actually gave them the ability to do what they're doing. Okay? That they themselves did not get where they're at based on the fact that they had the ability to get them. The Lord could have kept Esau them in the cave the entire time. But we had to go through a judgment. We had to go through, the prophecies of Deuteronomy 28, in which we broke the covenant, we sinned. So basically there was a price to pay. And even the Northern Kingdom tribes that was over here, they didn't get away either. They were over here for a while. But yet still, and you can see in that movie Apocalypto, when that, they was fighting amongst each other, and then they went to the beach and they saw death itself arrive. The so-called white man is death. He is death. He's anti-life. Like, take a look at his laws. Two men can couple together. You have a whole month right now that's dedicated to sodomy. Okay? But, there's a balance. Because right now, and I haven't seen any sodomite parade, or maybe it's not coming across, my algorithm, any parade this year. But I think the Lord Yahweh Shemashah has put the spirit in people where they're not having the festive spirit as much as they did before. Like, now people have to worry about, am I next on the termination list or layoff? And they're seeing people who've been in positions for 10, 15, 20 years, in high positions, whatever cases like that, gone. Okay? And when you look at how people deal with their personal finances in this country, okay, they go to Vegas and gamble their money away. Everything is credit. Put on a credit card, pay later. Pay on a credit card, pay later. And particularly for Edomites. Because Edomites, unlike Jakes, us who've been in the situation where, you lose your job and things are tough and, you can't get a job as fast as, your so-called white counterpart or Asian counterpart. You struggle in the interview because when they interview you not as a client or not as a potential candidate, but just going through the motion, clearly you could feel it from their spirit. They have no intention on hiring you. This is why they create a lot of these things like, can you adapt to the culture, or we're looking for someone that has a cultural fit. In other words, we just are very uncomfortable with you Negroes, particularly. We're very uncomfortable with you. And they're uncomfortable because they know what they have done to us. And the fact is that every time you have to look at us, you have to understand that we know what you did to us. See, that animosity will never go away. So don't even try to make it go away. There's no truce between Jacob and Esau. There's never going to be a truce between Jacob and Esau. In fact, that's a good lesson here. Let me write that down. No truce. Jacob. Sometimes when you're doing camp, you come up with lesson ideas. And when I watch camp videos, other brothers, them other camps, I go, they say something that triggers like, oh, that could be a lesson. That could be a lesson. All right? And the thing about it is I hope I didn't lose my train of thought here, is if the Lord wanted us to get along, he would have said it like that. Okay? He would have said it like that. In fact, let's go into let's go into the book of, let's go into the book of, let's go to the book of Daniel. Okay. And let's see how Esau actually got into his position. And let's see if I can bring it up. Okay. Give me 1 second. This is Daniel 4:17. It reads, "This matters by the decree of the watchers and the demand by the word of the holy ones, that to the intent that the living may know that the Most High ruleth in the kingdom of men, and give it to whomsoever he will, and set up over it the basis of men." So the Lord Yahweh Shemashah is involved, okay, in everything on this earth. Esau committing genocide over there in the Middle East, committing genocide over here in America, okay, specifically against the children of Israel, okay, and all of those nations that have been bombed by Esau, that was their judgment. None of them are innocent. Every single one of them had a yoke of iron on our neck at some point in time, treated us like crap. Okay, so they got their judgment. Nobody perished being innocent. But right here, it lets you know that the Lord Yahweh Shemashah, he gave the rulership of the earth to the basis of man. Okay, which is Esau the Edomite, the so-called white man. Now, I brought that up several times, you know, in videos, you know, individual lessons. And yeah, you do repeat it again because the scriptures is repetitive. So if you're bored of it, right, that's your business, okay? We all, I don't care what level you're at in this, we all repeat the same scriptures over and over and over, from the apostles all the way down to the brother who doing his very first lesson. The scripture is written that way, okay? And of course, it's always about prophecy, all right? Now, you got a lot of people right now, especially in times like this, where people are more worried about what's going to happen next with them as far as their future, okay? And the 1/3 hopefully elect, those of us, especially as ministers, we live in a different world compared to these people. So our walk is very different. We don't walk with the same type of hope that the people in this world do. Their hope is a career, future. They're still looking at 20 years. They're still looking at retirement. And you can say this over and over and over, and people even in your household can hear you, that you speak to intimately about it. And yet still, they don't believe you. They think they got a future. The only time people are going to start to believe is when they lose that, what they hold on to dearly, that they think is their value. When they lose that and there's nothing else, these are going to be the people that's going to want to listen and go, oh, you were saying about there'll be no job in Egypt anymore. You were saying there's going to be a shortage of food. You were saying that there's going to be famine and people are going to turn on each other and burn house down and rob each other and all this stuff. Because at that stage, they would have either witnessed it or they themselves are experiencing it. And that is when you're going to see where people are going to go, oh, that's what they were talking about. But there ain't going to be no answer for you. In fact, let's go into the scriptures in regards to that. And we don't feel bad, okay, when you don't listen to us. You know, some brothers, you know, they got a lot of scoffers that come on their particular channel and, you know, scoff at them, you know, Others are not experiencing that kind of level of scoffing. You might not get as much views as some others, and that's okay. Okay, and I'm just talking to the brothers out there. Don't feel bad about it, dude. Don't feel bad about it at all. Okay? Just continue to do. Because our mission is, I was watching the camp out there in Alabama, you know, and one of the brothers said, you know, the thing about Jakes is Jakes don't know how to focus on what's important or what the mission is. You got time to be bickering and bullshit, man. At the end of the doggone day, we all gonna be facing that hell, that tribulation. They're not gonna distinguish who's a man of the Lord or who is just a nigger out there. Okay? They're gonna come after just based on color for the most part. Okay? If you look like Latino, Hispanic, then maybe you're here illegally, so they can try and grab you and throw you in one of those internment camps. If you're a Negro, then you must have done something wrong. Okay? So our only protection that we're gonna have to get through that is gonna be if our destiny is written to be protected through that. Now some of us have already been predestined to get our head chopped off, executed, you know, for this prophecy or this ministry, or basically for Yahweh Bashim Shai. Okay? And it's hard to kind of think about whether, you know, what would you do when you come in that situation? I don't think you really need to think about it. It's just going to come natural that you know you have to die. Okay? As a matter of fact, brother's going to be so pissed off at that point, to the point it's like, okay, I don't care. Why are you wasting my time threatening me? Why don't you just do it? Okay, and the spirit is going to be, you know what? You want to serve Yahweh Shemel Shai that much to the point where it's like, this might sound weird, but some brothers are actually hoping it's them to have to prove their fate at that level to get your head chopped off. Some brothers actually want that challenge or want that. What do you got to lose here, man? Nothing, dude. Yeah, you got a roof over your head for now. But we know how this is gonna play out. And you know, we can sabotage our lives, but we already know how this is gonna play out. Okay? Now look, we in the business, and I'll just speak for myself. I'm not in the business of entertaining your ass, and I know I'm a boring guy when I speak. I'm not gonna share intimate details of my personal life with you because it's none of your motherfucking business. Period. Okay, I don't know you, but this is about the mission, and the mission is plain and simple. We preach what the Lord Yahweh Shema said. The Lord Yahweh Shema says to preach, which is what? Prophesy the danger that's going to come to the children of Israel. Okay, you need to be scared enough to repent, or the fear of the Lord Yahweh Shema to repent. Okay, if you're a man, you should be picking up your cross too. Why aren't you on the highway and the byway? Okay, and Esau, the Edomite, is a so-called white man. Okay, he is our enemy. He hates us. And oppression. Esau is going into slavery. He's going to get his kingdom to a certain level with the 6G, whatever else they want to bring, AI, robots, whatever. And the thing is that's going to be a part of your life. Okay? And my house is called a smart house. Everything's connected. Okay? To Wi-Fi and stuff. From the stove to the refrigerator, everything. Okay? It's just the way it is. And so we are going to go into an era where we're going to have to change from these cell phones that we have right now into this new type of phone and all that other stuff. And we're going to have to use those tools to bring out this ministry and just live our life here. However, we know that there is going to be a challenge that's going to come. You know, we pray to Yahweh Shema Shai. I think this is pursuant to, let me bring it out here. This is going to be something that we can hope for, because this is going to be on a level so rough that without divine protection, most of us will succumb to it. This is our Revelation 3 and 10. It reads, because thou hast kept the word of my patience, I also will keep thee from the hour of temptation, which shall come upon all the world to try them that dwell upon the earth. Biggie Small, aka Notorious B.I.G., he had a song called More Money, More Problems. The more you involve in this world, okay, as far as materialism and all that stuff, and especially if you covet those things, it is going to be very difficult to give those up. Let's say for example, when you look at the COVID, okay, with the vaccine, they start threatening people with their jobs. First it was offering prizes, and they say, you know what, you can't even work here if you don't get it. You have to do it. I mean, and this is a form of wickedness beyond belief. You had the California governor, Newsom, that little peckerwood. He closed everything down for 2 years straight. They had the color-coded crap and all this other shit. And they look at how everybody obeyed. See, you Edomites and you other tribes, you own most of the businesses in America. You complied. You bowed because you don't want to lose your position. You don't want to lose your business. You don't want to lose your job. You are the people with the biggest voice. The people that are in rulership. The people that have the color. You don't have to, you're not being despised everywhere you go. You could have fought back and you did nothing. You bow down. And for what? About 80% of you right now who bow down, you Edomites who bow down, you other tribes that bow down, including you Jakes too. You still end up without a job. And now you're broke. And now you have something in your body. And you know when the Lord is going to allow that to manifest? When they close these hospitals down, when you don't even have the option to go to a damn doctor. And you saw them talking about replacing these doggone surgeons with robot surgeons. Okay? You get a machine that has all the knowledge of every doctor on this earth, every high-level surgeon on this earth. I'm loving the best of the best. Because right now, you would have to fly to different countries or go to different states to go get a particular specialist. So who's the best at that particular thing? Now imagine if they can put that into a machine that has all the cumulative knowledge of every surgeon or every doctor on this earth. Which means what? They technically could cure anything, man. Okay? But to be a part of that, to get that type of treatment, you've been ill. This is the reason why they come with like a more of a medical part of it. Like, you know, you put that chip in your brain and you can walk. And we have to, let's be realistic here. You have to really seriously be real. Just like how you was out in the world, and I'm going to speak for myself. I was out in the world. I went to school. I went to college. I got myself in debt to go to college and all that stuff like that because why? I grew up in a household where education was the thing. You know, I grew up in a household where, relatives would shame you if you weren't you didn't have a particular title or you didn't amount to this or that. So my whole entire life was spent in that. Right? So you can look at it now, when they come up with this change around, and they tell you now, for you to move forward, for you to continue your life, you need to get this into you. In fact, you have an IQ of 120. But we can put this chip in your head that can make your IQ 180 or 200. Meaning you can solve problems like that. Making you very beneficial to these particular companies now that has evolved. Where we need you to come up with solutions in nanoseconds. We don't need to adjourn for no meeting and come back again. There's ain't gonna be no, I think, what I thought. No. Everything needs to be precise and accurate. Okay? we can cure you with these things here. We can put nanobots inside your bloodstream that can keep continuously cure you. You have Meta that's saying that they can have contact lenses and glasses, okay, that you are going to be seeing in virtual reality. And I've also seen some other things that hasn't been out to the market yet, okay, from people that I know who are working at some of the companies out there in Silicon Valley. But I'm not going to say anything, just for those people who are real it. I'm not going to say anything here, but you get an idea of actually what it actually looks like. Okay, and if you Jakes out there actually want to kind of get a glimpse of some stuff, you can actually go on certain company site and sign up to be a tester for certain things. Okay, you could test out new products that's coming out like that. They'll give you the product and you test it out, and then you have to get feedback of what can be improved. Okay, those things like that. Yeah, if you're into that, and those are things that I used to be into, because I was heavily involved in that arena. But however, we have to sit down and think about how tough this is going to be to the point to where the Mashiach is going to protect us. I want that protection because I really don't want to have that option in front of me. So I pray to the Lord Yahweh Shemashah, He would not give me an option. I had an option before with the C19, and I refused it and walked away. Okay, and you know what? Not a damn thing changed. In fact, it got a hell of a lot better. Okay, there are many of us that have been out in the world for decades before we found the truth, before we were awakened, and you experience enough of the hate from your enemies and enough down and unfairness to the point to where there's not a shadow of a doubt. And you got people probably look and go, man, why you always go hard at the so-called white man? Because I absolutely despise the motherfucking white man. I really do. And all the other tribes too. Of course, as a Hebrew Israelite man, I like women, so to me it doesn't matter what tribe you're from. If you're good looking, whatever, case like that. But men in particular, unless you're a brother, a sincere brother, I don't like you. All right? And that's just me, keeping it real. So the Mashiach is going to protect his elect that stand the ground. From what I've seen from most of the brothers I see preaching, I believe a lot of brothers are going to stand their ground. I think a good deal of brothers will stand the ground. I do. I think a lot of you brothers will stand your ground. I hope you do. Okay? But as we know right now, the Lord is weeding out the phonies. Well, we already know these are the camps that are set up out there that are intentionally misrepresenting the scriptures, for clout, whatever the case is like that. The Lord is going to use them, okay, as the example of what not to do. When Esau comes down and they start going, these black Hebrew Israelites and blah, 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 and we already know, roughly paraphrasing, if he has a need of thee, he will ask you what you want, and then afterward he's going to backstab your ass. And that's exactly what's going to happen to these 503. These guys that like to be seen by men, marching in their purple suits. And how about Shemel Shai? Because I went through a series of camps before I saw what I think is the true prophets. Okay? And it's none other than the prophets, the brothers, the elders, bishop, deacons, whatever, from GMS, and likewise brothers, brothers who are out there individually or whatever case like that now into the main church. And even brothers right now like myself who are not part of the main church like that, and there's a whole lot of things that, logistically or whatever case like that it can't happen. Nonetheless, okay, we subscribe to those teachings, and deep down, there's not even 1% of doubt that what they say is the truth, and it's written in the Bible. Okay, so Tawadi Habashimashai for that. Okay, it says, this is Amos 8 and 11 reads, Behold, the days come, said the Lord power, that I will send a famine in the land, not a famine of bread, nor a thirst for water, but of hearing the words of the Lord Habashimashai. That should be the most scariest thing that you should hear. That should be the most scariest thing you should hear. We remember when we was in the world, so when we know Jake Sim is still doing things, it's probably most likely because they haven't heard this. They haven't heard this, and then you can see some Jakes, you tell that they've heard, but they're probably right now watching multiple different camps. And when I say different camps, I'm talking like IUIC, ICPK, whoever else is out there. And then they might even be watching, camps like us who deal with it like this, but it's kind of confusing because keep in mind that Jake Dem mentality is all about, sometimes it's all about being entertained. And you have the purple guys, they're really good at that. They blow the horn, they make it like a podcast, and they put a comedic show to it, they put the rap along with it like that. And it just seems to be engineered. Here it is. This man is sharpening his sword to come after us. And you blowing little horns and trying to put on an entertainment show. This is a solemn. We're in a time. This is a solemn time, man. Okay. In fact, let's go into that, because by the time you people realize that there is not going to be any prophets on the street anymore, you're not going to hear the truth. This is where you're going to be so easily manipulated by Esau. Where you're going to be so easily manipulated by the false prophets who's going to come out there and take advantage of you. Think about it, that movie, Eli, the book of Eli. I forgot what his name, the actor. He wanted that book. And they said, well, it's just a book. He wanted the Bible. He goes, it's not just a book. It's a weapon. And in some respect, he was correct. Because what happens when, we don't use our opinion ever to speak with Esau. The elders, the prophets, the apostles, they set the standard of how everything, and they had a standard set for them, then they set the standard. And it trickles right down the line on the way how it goes. You go into the news headline, if you have it, when we bring it out lesson, you take a clip, you bring it out so that, your viewers can see that there's a clip, and then you're going to go into the scriptures. If you're going to use a personal experience like that, then you go into the scriptures. If you're going to use examples of somebody else like that without revealing their identity, you go into the scriptures, because everything is scripturally based. Like as one brother always say, if you stub your toe, think about what you was thinking when you stub your toe. You was thinking something probably off, something wicked, right? You got toe stub, like, okay, stop thinking that way. Maybe you had intention of doing something that was off. Man, we struggle every day, okay? But you got Jakes them, in a house of mirth. They're in a house of mirth. And not understanding that right now you have a development going on right now. In fact, let's go into this scripture here. This is Ecclesiastes 7:4 reads, "The heart of the wise is in the house of mourning." Why are we in the house of mourning? Because maybe 10 years ago you thought you're going to be at this level in this company, or with your business, if you have a business, or whatever the case is like that. You imagine retiring. You imagine just traveling and retiring, you know, and all those things. And then you got the truth. And the truth is that, you know, the devil of the Bible is actually in reality the so-called white man. It's not some ethereal being on the ground. You don't get to just ask Jesus to forgive you the last second before your last breath. Make the sign of the cross. Kiss the rosary, and all sin is forgiven. And that's what Christianity teach you. That nonsense. No. You got to put the works in. The God of the Bible is not what we thought he was. It's serious business. And at that stage, your fear is substantial. Because you realize, man, your entire life you've been wicked. Evil. You never considered anything because why? We can't. You can't wake up. You can't wake yourself up, man. Nobody can wake themselves up. If Yahushua don't want you, there's nothing you can do about it. Man, I look at it and I go, how the hell I did not know I was a Hebrew Israelite all those years. I did not. I lived almost 5 decades before I found out I was a Hebrew Israelite. Chased my tail for years. I couldn't figure out. And once I found out, once I heard, the first scriptures I heard was Deuteronomy 30, Deuteronomy 28. And I go, holy crap, that's me. Now everything made sense. Then I saw these brothers with a sign of the RFID microchip, and somewhere I already knew that way back in the early 1990s. They showed the UFOs, and I go, I knew it. I already knew those things, but you never come across people that confirm those things. This is where the prophets confirm a lot of the things. This is the reason why you have brothers when they come into this, they're so zealous because it's like, yes, they knew. You knew, but you didn't know because you didn't have others that was thinking in terms like that. Until you see likewise or like-minded brothers and go, oh my God, yes. I remember 1996 when I saw that movie, Independence Day. I remember looking right at the screen and going, that's exactly who the world called Jesus. At that time I was saying Jesus because I didn't know any different. I said that's how he's going to come back, just like that. It made sense. Okay, even though I still read the Bible a little bit more metaphorically. You know, like they said lamb, and I just kept picturing some lamb in my head, and you know, yeah, it'll make you laugh. It'll make you laugh, okay. But if Yahushua don't want you, man, you can't wake up with that deep sleep. You will never, ever. You will never wake up, ever. I mean, to think, the people that are our enemies, I used to want to be them. I was forced around them as a child. I was forced into this pretty much all white school, private school, you know. Just feeling like shit. Just got treated like shit in that school too. Not knowing. Kind of in a way, I kind of figured something was wrong. I just didn't know. Okay? And it's a bad thing when you growing up around ignorant people. Oh, it's a horrible thing. When they say the blind lead the blind, it's a bad thing. I never in my life ever want to go back to being like that ever again. To me, I consider that weak. I was so weak. So weak. So you come into a time right now, very, very near. These people looking to get this shit off the ground by 2030. We are now near 2027. And I think this guy who's in power right now, Trump, he's the guy to do it. And if he doesn't do it, the one that's right after him is going to be the one that's going to bring it in. Okay? And of course, we know the timeline if everything is on Yahweh Shai. Okay? So they could say 2030, but who knows? Okay? It could be before that or it could be after that. But we're in the house of mourning. The heart of fool is in the house of mirth. What do you people gonna be happy about? So a lot of people still ain't really looking at the sorrows that people are experiencing out there because, of course, we see it because it's in our algorithm because we're talking about, when you talk about second ancestors, talk about people, mentally unstable to the point of where they're looking at other people and saying, you know what, it look like you're doing well, but I don't know, just take your shit. We seen this is going to happen. I don't look at my neighbors them and go, well, they got their own crap like that, they should be good. No, man, I look at them like they are going to at some point in time look and go, let's target that house. Okay? Now I'm not gonna be a nigga and tell you what the response would be. Okay? But let's just put it there. I don't have an ounce of fear of any of them. Not even an ounce. I can't even pretend. Alright? But we still pray. Because there's a lot of brothers in this that we come from, backgrounds. Some of us were military trained. Some of us were leaders in this man's military. Like you actually wrote the operation order. You ran the ranges. You've been down range. You've kept it up. You kept it up and going. You kept the physique. You kept the body. Okay. But we're not relying on that. And you get brothers in this who are grandmasters in jiu-jitsu and all kinds of stuff. Okay. I mean, you can look at the videos. You can see a lot of brothers are definitely taking care of their body and but we're not macho man. But don't get it twisted. Okay? We depend on Yahweh Shai to deliver us. And we have to earn that. We greatly offended the Lord Yahweh Shai. We greatly offended him. And as the other apostles and brothers and bring out, look, man, the Lord Yahweh Shai is still pissed. The Most High is still pissed at us. You can't back off, man. And there's no time to fall out. There's no time to run back into the world. Yes, you can enjoy it and use it for what it is, and ain't nothing wrong with. You had a certain destination. You might want to have gone to. As long as it's not about worshiping idols, that you can't do it. But at the end of the day, I don't think any brother travel anywhere without taking their scriptures with them or taking their sackcloth. Of course, you have your cell phone and your Bible with you, which is on your cell phone too, or you have an iPad or whatever the case is like that. But you go, like, if you're going on overseas, then, hey, you go in your little quiet corner. You don't have to make a big scene out of it. Obviously, you might not have your posters, and you don't need it. Okay? You could integrate that in afterward if you want to, but I think Jake's them get a pretty much of an idea of what the 12 tribe science look like. And even if you're new, there is, at any given time right now, as I speak, there's about 30 or 40 brothers that are live, that are going live right now, okay? And you look at them, and with the exception of the very popular brothers, okay, or elders, whatever the case, that who have a much larger following, pretty much you'll see tons of live, nobody's viewing. They're too busy viewing other nonsense that Esau put to distract them. It's not important to them to get this word absorb this word. They too busy want to get into the business of these hip hop guys and whatever else nonsense out there. I didn't even know it was the NBA Finals. I don't know any player in the NBA except I believe I don't know anybody. I should tell you the truth. I don't even follow basketball, nor football. I can tell you. I can even name one current football player right now. And I was never into it anyways. Pretty much, you absorb into this. Okay, and this is our job, the mission. And my brother was right when he said, Jason can't focus on the mission. Too busy squabbling and bullshitting. It's like a bunch of damn birds fighting over damn breadcrumbs you throw on the ground, or a bunch of pigeons fighting over breadcrumbs you throw on the ground. Like, what? Then a cat comes along. Not only is he going to eat the breadcrumb, but he might be looking at the pigeons for dinner too. Now what? They all scatter. Okay? Ain't no pigeon can stand up and fight that cat. Alright? Let's go into let's go into Jeremiah 23 and 32. You got these guys that are putting certain Jakes at ease. Like, there's not going to be a Jacob's trouble. Everything's coincidental. Look, everything's still going the way it is, like that. And it's easy you can easily fall into that. You could. You got your grill. You might have multiple TVs. You might have multiple cars. You might be in that. But the first things first, man. You gotta do the service that you were put to do, especially if you can do it. You don't get those skills for you. The Lord gave us our skills for to serve Him. Use those skills for Him. If He gave you resources, use it to serve Him. Okay, and these guys they're no different from Esau, man. They're no different from Esau, who took the slave, who created or took out certain scriptures and made that slave Bible and put you into that state of servitude. They're no different. They're just as dangerous. A man is going to take a scripture, a dude that looks like you, that's going to take the scriptures to manipulate you with it. It's very dangerous. In fact, he's more dangerous than a white man, I believe. Okay? This is, I'm going to close over with this. This is Jeremiah 23 and 37, where 32 reads. Actually, let's go to the start with the words. 31, it reads, Behold, I am against the prophets, said the Lord Yahweh Shemashai, that use their tongues and say, He saith, Behold, I am against them that prophesy false dreams, said the Lord Yahweh Shemashai, and do tell them, and cause my people to err by their lies and by their lightness. Yet I sent them not, nor commanded them. Therefore they should not profit this people at all, said the Lord Yahweh Shemashai. Okay, and it's spelled the word profit as Profit, which is like when you invest into something, you would expect a profit. Okay. Who was it? I think it was one of the disciples who asked Yahushai, hey, if we give up our life and do all this and follow you and all that, what's in it for us? There's a prophet's reward. We ain't giving up there's rules we have to go to, and then temptations come all the time, man. You got some opportunities that you wish you had when you was in the world. Before you knew the truth and the rules. Opportunities are coming your way to do certain things. that you know you can't do now that you're in the truth and you know better. That did not come to you while you were out there in the world when you didn't know any better, when you would have done it. Okay? Now these guys, they preach these false dreams and shit. You know, if you're pushing out the image of, it's a confusion because you get a set of guys, purple guys, they push out the image of a so-called black man, but they call him Jesus, when in reality, he's Yahushua. And they even name themselves what the so-called white man calls his deity, Christ. Why don't y'all just get the post of the freaking crack of God, Jesus, and put it out there? Who are you fooling? Who are y'all fooling? I mean, seriously, who are y'all fooling? Are you dudes that retarded, that inept, and that stupid, and that, how do I want to say it? Clearly, if you're using a means to trick people and deceive people and having them give them 20% of their income to you, whatever the case is you collecting, so you can live your life and ride on a horse and travel all over the place like that. Clearly, you can make that money on your own with your skill, maybe investment or discipline and saving. None of that is going to matter real soon, but I'm just saying. But our people don't look and view a nigger in that respect because they don't have the intellect to do that. See, I would look at you like that. I go, nigga, you are that fucking doggone stupid to the point where you have to use the Bible. You're no different from these monkey ass niggas in the church talking shit. I'll go to your church. I ain't put a dime in your damn collection plate. Because I'm going to ask you, let me see your books and where this money is going. Is it for you? And how are you living? Or does it help the congregation if a congregation is in need? Let me see your damn books. Let me take a look at your doggone books and stuff like that. I want to know where my money is going. Yeah, and the response is always going to be a negative one. I'm not going to just hand you my shit because you can talk good. I don't have that level of respect for any man like that. Prove your damn self. But clearly a lot of chicks can't see past that. Because they're in that entertainment spirit, mirth. Oh, that's good, pastor. That was a good church here. Yeah, I'm paying you for that. Well, then fuck, go to a comedy show. And get something fresh, weekly, if that's the case. So you do is you prophesy false dreams, and 1 minute you're talking about the white man is bad, he's evil, he's Esau. You hold up a poster of a so-called black man and say that his name is Jesus Christ. That makes no fucking sense. You speak against you idolize his deity or his God. At the same time, you're speaking against him. That makes no freaking sense. You're double-minded and dangerous. And you have people out there that are following you, supporting your bullshit, that are supposed to be intelligent people in society that can't see past that. And that's that deep sleep. Y'all are part of the wicked agenda of Esau. I may the Lord smite y'all horribly. I will laugh. I speak for myself. I don't speak for other brothers. I'm just telling you personally, I would laugh the hell at you. I would laugh the hell at you. If I was in the world still in line of work that I was in, one of many, I would have been the guy that would lead that charge and stump you niggas in the ground. That's how much I despise your asses, man. You're weak. And those who are following them, we pray the Lord, Yahweh Shemashai, will wake you out of that doggone delusional dilemma or that illusion that you're in. Many of us, we before we came to the true prophets, it was just like that. Not to that level. Clearly, the Lord allowed us to see that, to see what is not His, as it says right here. Behold, I'm against them that prophesy false dreams, said the Lord Yahweh Shemashai, do tell them and cause my people to err by their lies and by their lightness. Nah, it couldn't be. How they was doing it like that, it's like, nah. Something was just off. And the Lord grabbed men like myself and others and say, nah, these are the guys, these are my prophets over here. Learn from them. For that. So that's all I'm going to bring out today. I'm going to end it. Okay. Lord willing, the elect was edified. Okay. I'd like to give all glory unto Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, Ba'ashem, Kakadash. Shalom.